Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, world. Welcome to episode 27 of The Ball Doesn't Lie. I'm
Yep.
your host, Jared, with my lovely host, as always, Starkey. Starkey, how are we doing today? I know
We're good,
today's
my
been
man.
a stressful, long day for you,
It has.
covering all the baseball.
We'll get into that in just a little bit.
I've been checking Twitter every now and then for stuff. You've been the one blowing me up with stuff. You broke the news first on Sato before I did, so. Well, folks, I think tonight we have a pretty good show for you. We want to talk about some sad news, I guess you could say, in the Memphis Tiger world. Some legal issues in the NFL, NBA going on. Starkey's going to break down for us the MLB trade deadline, couple of things he loved, couple of things he hated, maybe some winners, losers. And then, backed by popular demand, we're getting back in the time machine. We're T-minus 30 days away, less than 30 days away from the start of college
we are.
football.
We're going back to much
by the way,
simpler times, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you count week 0 as an actual week or no? I really don't, because you really don't have any good games. It's just like, granted, it's football. I love it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am too. Nobody really cares about week 0, but after a long winter, spring, summer, it's just nice to have college football back.
100%. So we got week 0 coming up very soon. So we're going to hop back in the time machine. And 10 years ago, what happened in college football? Let me tell you, it was a very strange year. But
it was a good year.
It was a good year. Well, for me, for Arkansas, that year was a bad year. And we'll get into that in a second. But, and then we're going to do the final segment tonight. It's going to be I guess you can kind of say overhyped, overrated OG video game athletes. Okay, Starkey, let's start it off with the first one tonight. I guess it's kind of a bad thing. It is, but it isn't. For those who don't know, Alex Lomax, the guy we rejoiced. We said, thank you, Jesus, for taking him off our hands. I think Starkey even gave me an amen that week.
Amen.
For some reason, Alex Lomax, the guy Memphis fans did not want.
The guy that Memphis fans love to hate.
And we love to hate him, just like the XFL jersey. For some weird reason, no pro team wanted Alex Lomax. What?
Pretends to be shocked.
And since he never signed a pro contract, he can come back to Memphis. And it broke Sunday night, Monday morning, about midday, that Alex Lomax is returning to the Memphis Tigers.
Yeah.
Starkey, take us away on that. You have more details on that.
So, let's see, 19 hours ago, last night at about just after 11 p.m., Leon Taylor writes for Memphis Rivals account. He dropped an article entitled "One Last Ride." Here is the first paragraph. The University of Memphis senior point guard Alex Lomax will be returning for a 5th year. Lomax has been dealing with a decision that has been a topic for 2 months. Will he stay or will he go? The return of Lomax brings a solid guard who already knows the system. There's no place like home for Alex Lomax, as many know him as a fan favorite. His leadership will be needed, which matches his passion on defense.
Well, passion on defense is about that, because it's all he does. Is he can play a little defense for you at the most as a 5'8" point guard. Here's the thing. How are you going to do senior day again for a guy who's already got senior day?
See, I don't know. That's going to be super awkward because, like you said, Alo had his senior day, and he's coming back, which that's awkward in itself. If he was going to come back, give him the Tyler Harris treatment, okay? Don't let him have a senior day.
Make him walk on.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, you have already, I think 3 more scholarships you could use, but because Penny didn't fill out the roster.
No.
This is so bad. This is terrible. Because you know what's going to happen? Penny's either going to roll Kendrick Davis and Alex Lomax, both who are under 5'10" point guards. 5'10" point guard, sorry. Or he's going to start Amax over Davis. Reigning Conference Player of the Year. A volume scorer.
No, there's no way he starts Lomax over Davis. I could see every now and then a couple of lineups where they're both in my court at the same time. But everything I've been reading is Lomax, his minutes cap is going to be 10, maybe 15 minutes a game.
You say that, but you know what Penny's going to say.
I know.
He's our point guard. That's the quarter. In the words of T.O., that's my quarterback.
That's my quarterback.
So, we'll have, I'm sure we'll have more on that in the future weeks when he officially says he's coming back.
Because remember, we still have not heard from Alex himself. These are just reports that everyone's saying. So
they're already saying it. He's coming back, which makes me very shocked about why no team wanted him. What?
Well,
You
I
mean
thought
the
I told him
Alaskan
yesterday.
basketball, the ABA would not want him, the Alaskan Basketball Association? Or the Puerto Rico League? Well, Willie Henderson-Niles has been playing?
He's still there?
Pierre, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Pierre Henderson-Niles is playing. He was. I think he's back in Memphis now, but back in Raleigh. But you won't get into that next week. So I know we have some other things to talk about, little legality reasons.
Yes, we do.
A lot of, first off, this Deshaun Watson, I guess, is a free man. He got a 6-game suspension from the NFL. And the instant I thought of that, I thought of Ray Rice.
Yeah.
Ray Rice, as many of you know, back in the 2014 season, right before it, he got a 6-game suspension, I believe. It was either 6 or 8, one of those two. Got a suspension for clapping his wife. He knocked her out.
Yep.
Granted, she did it, sold him first, but I'm still with my boy, a little self-defense maybe, but you never should have knocked her out, just kind of pushed her off. But hey, that's neither here nor there. He got, I believe it was one of those 6 or 8 games, and NFL fans rioted. Everybody was pissed off at Goodell, saying, you screwed up. This guy should never be playing again in the NFL. He should be out for longer than half the season. Get him out of here. About a week later, they said, Ray, you're suspended indefinitely. Tom Brady, Deflategate. 4 games for Deflate. For literally
cheating.
Deflating footballs. 4 games. Calvin Ridley, bet on a couple games. That we know of, but it was one for sure, but definitely probably bet on more. Knowing him, suspended an entire year.
And like we said last week, he didn't bet against his own team. He bet on his own team, just like Pete Rose did.
No, Pete Rose bet against his team. Pete Rose didn't bet on himself.
Yeah, Pete Rose bet on himself.
Oh, did he? I always say he bet on against himself. Well. So yeah. 6 games. I have a gut feeling with the reactions gotten already, Deshaun's going to be sitting out a lot longer.
Yep, I agree.
A lot longer. The guy's you could tell he was doing okay. He had a weird fetish with all this stuff. So I didn't know this till today. I was listening to the Chris Vernon show from yesterday. Did you know that all the ladies he was going to see in the masseuses were all local African-American masseuses in the Cleveland and the Houston area?
I knew they were all in Cleveland or around that area.
So the reason why is he was stating he was trying to help promote the African-American small businesses. And if you're one of them, and an NFL player DMs you saying, hey, I want to use you, like we can promote you and all that, 100% you're going to be all going. And then turns out, oh, Deshaun, you're a naughty, naughty boy. He finally paid off all 26 of them, so I think the NFL they're still this suspension is still up in the air. I know the NFL player, what is it? The Player Association, correct?
Yeah, the Player Association.
Yeah, I think they're still having to go. They're going to oversee it, see that it's just. I'm still, folks. Deshaun will not be playing this year.
No,
They're going
you
to
can just
overturn
about go ahead and
this,
stamp that one.
and he is going to be suspended a lot longer. Here's my thing: if you were the Cleveland Browns, do you feel comfortable with having any females working in the office or the training staff? I wouldn't.
No, not at all.
I would not. Granted, hopefully he's not dumb enough to do it in there, but you never know. The guy did it 26 times that we know of. He's probably done it more.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Folks, don't hold your breath. Sean will be sitting a lot longer. So, draft Jacoby and stay away from all Cleveland Browns wide receivers for now. The next one we want to talk about is the Miami Dolphins got suspended, or didn't get suspended. They got in trouble for tampering.
Yeah.
Does everyone know what tampering is? Just talking to coaches, players, anybody else, anybody associated with the teams before the season ends, or whenever the allotted time period is.
Yeah.
I know they were talking to Tom Brady. I believe it was 2017. I think it was either 2017 or 2019. It was one of those odd years they were talking.
I believe it was 2019 because he was still under. Yeah. So according to Adam Schefter, NFL ruled that the Dolphins had impermissible communications with quarterback Tom Brady in 2019-20 while he was still under contract with the New England Patriots.
Okay, so I knew it was one of those odd years. And then you had them talking to Sean Payton.
Yep.
So they ended up I know their GM got suspended, correct? Or he got I know somebody got suspended for like half the season.
Yeah. So according to Schefter, here is the discipline. The Dolphins will forfeit their club's first round selection in 23 and their third round pick in 24. Mr. Ross, I believe, is their owner.
Yeah, owner.
Is suspended through October 17th of 2022. He may not be present at the Dolphins facility and may not represent the club in any team or NFL event. He may not attend any league meeting prior to the annual meeting in 23 and is removed from all league committees indefinitely and fined $1.5 million. Mr. Bruce Beal, the Dolphins vice chairman / limited partner, may not attend the league meetings for the remainder of the 22 season and is fined $500,000. So
that's how you do it, Roger. Yes. You did good there, hey. Roger. You did good there. Well, let's get to Sean, right? Let's suspend him.
Exactly.
A little bit longer, maybe a year, maybe two, maybe indefinitely. Oh, going back to that, just popped in my head. Do you think the reason why Deshaun is not suspended longer is because they don't have video evidence or photographs?
I can see that.
Because here's the thing, just popped in my head. And listen to the Chris Vernon show too about it. They discussed it too. Ray Rice, you had the video.
Yep.
Miles Bridges, you had the photos released.
Yep.
Bridges will not play again. I loved Bridges. I wanted him to be a Grizzly so bad. He will not play in the NBA for a long, long time if he plays again. Do you think if they had photo evidence or video evidence of Sean doing any of it, do you think he'd be suspended any longer?
I think so. I think at that point they would have to.
I agree with that. So I want to get to the next thing. We had another tampering thing go down over the weekend. You had the New York Knicks get suspended or get in trouble for tampering with the signing of Jalen Brunson. Here's the thing. All these players know where they're going before 5 o'clock on the trade. But whenever, I think free agency, I know it's the third, I think it was 5 o'clock, and you start having deals go through right after 5. Players know where they're going before that. You just got to do it the right way and kind of hide it a little. Jalen Brunson, I mean, here's the thing. They hired his dad.
Yeah.
I think everybody and their mother knew he was going to the Knicks. But here's the thing. you get a second round. They lost. They're going to end up probably losing their second round draft pick like last year. You had Chicago get in trouble with Lonzo Ball. You've had 3 or 4 different teams. Bogdanovich with the Bucks got in trouble. They agreed to a sign and trade with him before it was even time, and that got announced. And you're like, what? I think Miami lost their pick last year. Now and then it was just the Bulls and it was the Bucks. But here's the thing, NBA, if you're going to put an end to it, do what the NFL does. Take a one away from you that you actually
exactly
help you so much. In the NBA, how many of those second round guys actually become great role players?
Very, very
here and there. But you take it around the first guy, you can do a rotational player or a starter. That's gonna hurt you.
Yep, agreed.
And it can also help you trade it as well. NFL, NBA, Adam Silver, you're to me the best GM in sports. Or not GM, 100%. The best commissioner. Sorry, you're the best commissioner in all the major sports. Fix it, make it happen. Start taking. If you want to end tampering, start taking ones. Ones help teams make trades.
Yep.
So, we still don't have any news on KD.
Well, a little bit of breaking news today, not trade-wise, but he is scheduled to actually sit down with the Brooklyn owner at some point soon for a face-to-face conversation. So we don't know where things are standing with that, but it is at least somewhat of a development.
They're going to sit down and talk, saying, "Hey, yeah, Kevin, we can't trade you till no one wants what we want for you, so
we can't trade till January 15th when we can finally get 8."
Here's the thing: if I'm Kevin, stay in Brooklyn. You have a chance to have a great team there.
Yep.
You're having Joe Harris come back. Hopefully, Ben Simmons can be a shell of himself and just play defense, facilitate the ball. You don't need him to score with what they got.
No.
Just throwing it out there. If he stays, they're contenders. Because Kyrie can play in every state now.
Yeah.
Barring if Kyrie wants to play basketball this time next year.
Which, like we said,
for this time next year will be over, but 5 months from now, if Kyrie wants to play basketball from now, who knows? Starkey, let's move on to your segments. This is your baby tonight. Take it away for us.
Let's do it. So, as most of y'all know, the MLB trade deadline happened today, ended at 5 o'clock. Like I told Jared, MLB trade deadline day just hits different for me. It is one of the most stressful days of the year, just personally. But trade deadline day, I put it up there with probably one of my favorite days of the year with the NFL draft, because it's crazy. You're checking Twitter like constantly, all that good stuff. So this morning we had the blockbuster deal go down. Just about every major baseball analyst, host, everything like that I've talked to said this is the biggest trade in MLB history. We had, well, for different reasons why. So we
bigger than Babe Ruth?
Just the context of everything going on.
Had to throw a little joke in there.
So we had Juan Soto, 23 years old, multiple years left on his contract, arguably the greatest hitter in baseball right now. And Josh Bell, first baseman, get traded to the San Diego Padres. The Nationals gave up right-hander Mackenzie Gore, shortstop C.J. Abrams, their number 1 prospect, outfielder Robert Hassel III, their number 3 prospect, outfielder James Wood, and right-hander Jarlin Susana. According to Sporting News, here are the trade grades. The Padres, A+. When you can land a young, controllable, absolute supernova of a star, you get it, regardless of what it costs. Throw in Josh Bell, and you're set at first base also. The Padres are one of the youngest teams in the majors, but they have three young, controllable superstars who are projected to bat 1, 2, and 3 for them. Fun fact also, they're running down the Padres starting lineup. Every single starter for the Padres now will require to be a trade at some point
So
or
what
another.
you're saying is they're not good at developing; they're good at making moves.
They're good at finding guys to play. So the Nationals got absolutely fleeced. And if I'm Mike Rizzo, I am hiding in a corner. Mike Rizzo, if y'all don't know, is the general manager for the Nationals. Yes, they got all of these great prospects, all of these major league ready players now, but giving up a guy like Soto, if you're San Diego, you do it.
They're Danny Ainge, baby.
Exactly. Basically. If you're San Diego, you do it if you can. But if you're Washington, you laugh in their face and hang up the phone.
Do you think it was because they were trying to get moved for the deadline, or do you think it was?
Well, I think this became a deal they ended up having to do because Washington gave Soto, I believe it was a 14-year, $400 million contract extension offer, and he turned it down
Right before All-Star Weekend.
right before All-Star Weekend. So when that happened, he knew that he wasn't going to re-sign with Washington. They had to do this. But for a guy like Soto and Josh Bell, they should have gotten back so much more than they actually did. And then you throw in.
I would say I know the Cardinals were in the running, and I can't remember the guy's name, but I know it was one player apparently the Cardinals did not want to move on from.
Yes. So I'll hit on that, and then I'll talk about this other situation that held this deal up for a little bit. So I believe his name is hang on. I believe his name is Dylan Carlson.
Yeah, I think that's him.
He is an outfielder. Apparently, from everything that went down this morning, the Padres wanted him. St. Louis did not want to give him up. And so that was the final nail in the coffin for Soto going to St. Louis. Thank you, Dylan Carlson.
So basically the Cardinals are banking on Dylan Carlson to be a Hall of Fame player.
A stud, yes.
Good luck with that. That's a lot of pressure on one cat, but
yes. So throw in a man by the name of Eric Hosmer. Sorry, guys, there you go. So throw in a guy by the name of Eric Hosmer, starting first baseman for the Padres. I believe it was 3 years ago. Don't quote me on that. He signed an 8-year, $144 million contract with the Padres. And he is absolutely slaw. He can get you home runs, but here is Eric Hosmer's stats for this season. Hang on. He's hitting 272, which isn't terrible. Only 8 home runs and 91 hits and 335 at bats. He is on a terrible, terrible contract. And so, in order for the Padres to get off of that contract, they were going to loop him in with this package of players and prospects to go to Washington. Well, he got word of that. He was not very happy because Eric Hosmer has a no-trade clause. And there are 10 teams on that no-trade clause, which means, for those of y'all that don't know what I'm talking about, if Mike Rizzo were to go to Eric Hosmer and say, Eric, we're trading you to the Nationals, which was the case here. He could contractually, it was his right to say, either no, you're not, or I'm not playing. And he was not willing to waive that no trade clause to go to Washington. So they finally took him out of the deal altogether. And that is why they only ended up with these 5 players going back to San Diego for Soto and Bell, and not 6. So,
do you think they're going to be able to afford to keep him next year? Or I don't think. I mean, they're guys.
I highly doubt it.
Because you got him, you got Tatis. Who's the other guy? I can't. You were the baseball
Manny Machado.
Who? Machado?
Manny Machado.
Yeah, if you can keep. Oh my god.
If you can keep him.
That's a scary. Well, Tatis is still hurt, so.
Yeah. Tatis had to play it all this season.
Well, on the bright side, if he comes back, holy crap, because that did jump them up a little. Per FanDuel, they have the 5th best odds to win the World Series at plus 1,000. So if Tatis comes back, you get on it now. You're looking pretty good, pony boy. The Yankees are still number 1. Dodgers, Astros, Mets round out the top 5. Now, any other trains that excited you today, sir?
So, one trade that came kind of out of nowhere, if I can find it, I want to make sure I get everything right, was one of the last trades of the day.
Was it the
Whit
Yankees?
Merrifield. No, it was Whit Merrifield of the Royals going to the Toronto Blue Jays.
Toronto's trying to make a run.
Yeah, they are. So this was a really weird situation because it wasn't a week, maybe 2, a week or 2 ago that Whit Merrifield could not even play against the Blue Jays when Kansas City went to Toronto because he legally could not enter Canada.
Oh, why?
He's unvaccinated.
Oh, that's just like Benintendi.
Yeah, exactly. Benintendi was one of those guys too.
Well, Benintendi still said he's not open to the backs yet, so.
Yeah. Well, Whit Merrifield doesn't have a choice at this point. If he's going to play, he's going to get the shot, which I thought was just super ironic. Although I was listening to MLB Network today, they said more than likely what happened is they went to Whit and said, hey, here's what's going to happen. Whit would not have okayed that trade had he not said, okay, I'll get the shot. So as ironic as it is, it sounds like it's not all a bad deal. Next, one of the other, and the last trade, and I'll get into a little rant, a little short rant of mine that I've been holding in for a while. The Yankees, yes. This one doesn't involve your closeted New York Yankees. The Yankees made a deal with the St. Louis Cardinals for the Yankees traded left-hander Jordan Montgomery. I believe he's a starter for outfielder Harrison Bader. Harrison Bader might be one of the best defensive center fielders in the league.
The rich just get richer.
The rich got richer. If you are the Cardinals GM, and I apologize, I can't pronounce his last name, there's no way you make this trade. There's no reason for him to have made this trade. The Sporting News graded the Cardinals B plus, Yankees C minus. I think that's backwards myself, but because Bader gives you great depth in the outfield in case one of your three superstar outfielders gets hurt, or if you want to give them the day off, you can do that. I don't think that Montgomery for Bader, one for one, was a very good trade, but that's just me. So now,
well, I guess you would put Bader. You technically, I guess, could start him at center field over Hicks, but
yeah, you can do that.
Hicks is having a decent year, but I mean, hey, I'm down with a little youth action.
Yeah. So, permission to rant for a second.
Go ahead.
All right. So, as many of you know, I'm a Cubs fan. I've been for a really, really long time. Literally my entire life. Almost 30 years. Today frustrated me and kind of broke my heart for two individuals. Wilson Contreras and Ian Happ. Wilson Contreras, starting catcher, three-time All-Star, pivotal, crucial piece of the core that won the World Series in 2016. That was actually his rookie year. Ian Happ, first-time All-Star this year, former utility man, was actually drafted as a second baseman, but put him in left field the second half of last year and all of this year, and he's been incredible. They have been on the trade block all season long. With Contreras, he is a free agent at the end of the year. Jed Hoyer and Connor Hawkins have not even come to him once for an extension at all this season. Ian Happ is a free agent next year, so he has a year and a half left on his deal. For weeks now, these two guys have been the biggest trade pieces for Chicago because we're in the middle of we're a dumpster fire of a team right now. I just have to be honest. Yeah. We're about to go on a major rebuild, and for two of these guys, you have to do right by these guys. Contreras and Happ for weeks. They've known they were on the block. They've been worrying about it. Their families, I'm sure, have been stressed out about it. Excuse me. Less than a week ago, in the last game at Wrigley Field before the trade deadline, you could see them hugging each other and embracing each other in the dugout because they knew that more than likely that was going to be the last time they would ever play together.
They got Tyreek Evans, didn't they?
Yeah. So it's all that to say, all day updating Twitter, checking Twitter, scrolling Twitter, searching names just to see if I can find anything. It comes down to 3 o'clock our time, and there has been 3 o'clock Central Time, and the trade deadline was at 5. There was nothing. There was no whispers. All these other teams have been out trading for catchers, bats, everything like that. 5 o'clock comes, and we're like, okay, maybe a late second trade will come through, as usually happens. About 5:05, 5:10 news breaks. The Cubs do not trade Wilson Contreras or Ian Happ, which, as a fan of the team, I'm happy about because they're by far our two best players right now. But as someone who appreciates and loves them as like men and as people, you have to do right by these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Either extend Wilson, which I'm not sure is going to happen because Jed Hoyer, I feel, is incompetent. Or if Wilson Contreras were to leave this season, he has what they call a qualifying offer. The Cubs can offer him a 1-year deal, and he can choose whether or not to accept it. If he declines it and signs with another team, the Cubs get a late first round, maybe second round draft pick.
No, just like basketball.
Just like basketball, exactly. So if I am Wilson Contreras and no extension offer is brought to me, I walk, run to another team.
You got to. Hey, get that money and get a
You
ring.
have to get the
Don't be
bag.
part of a rebuild.
No. Go get another ring. Get your bag. And just say, you know what? Forget you guys. I'm going to remember this. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. Now, Ian Happ, he's still under contract for another season. So there's not really much he can do. But just everything these guys have gone through. Ian Happ was on 670 The Score this morning, the Chicago sports station. And they were talking to him about it because it was, it was on the day of the trade deadline. And he made the comment, he said, it's a very lonely place to be. And he sounded just upset, kind of broken, just, didn't know what was going on. So I'm sure he was super emotional, all those things. So if you're the Cubs, long story short, rant over, you have to do right by these guys. These guys are way too good to be part of a rebuild. Get what you can for them to spruce up the farm system and allow them to go out and have success on a good team, because they do not deserve to be a part of this awful team that we're fielding right
now. So, real fast, I have two quick thoughts on your baseball. Right now, gun to your head, who is the favorite in your mind to win the World Series?
The Yankees.
There we go. Thank you. That's all I needed to hear. Even though we will choke in the fall, like we always do, the Yankees.
I still hold that it's going to be a Subway World Series.
I would love that.
It would be good for baseball.
Now, New York would love that. And the last one is, did Atlanta win the Austin Riley signing, or did Austin Riley win?
Oh, that was mutually beneficial.
I think he got it. I think Riley got gypped. He probably could have gotten more. I do think a 10-year contract is a little too long, but
he's still super young though.
He is. He's 25, I think. So 35 from now, you're just hoping and praying that he will continue to develop. It could be a steal. Riley could be getting gypped down the road. Who knows? Get the bag.
But yeah, but I forgot Starkey. About that. Shout out to Austin Riley, local guy, DC grad, Soda Central grad, signed a 10-year, $212 million contract extension with the Braves. So
I do think
good on you, Mr. Riley.
I do think he did kind of get ripped. The Braves won that, looking at it now, but could have held out for a little bit more. But hey, get the money, I guess, while you can.
Yeah.
Just don't tamper.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Starkey, are you ready to get on the time machine again?
Let's do it.
Starkey, we're going to go back to the year 2012, 2013. I was getting ready to start my freshman year of college?
I was in my sophomore. Getting ready to start my sophomore year.
And to watch the opening game of football, I went to my buddy Mitch's house, who had a very safe, fundamentally house. Granted, at the time, folks, he was not a home inspector, but his home was very structurally sound. So, folks, we've been saying this from years on. Even 10 years ago, Mitch knew what a structured house was. Sorry, not sound. He knew what a structured house was. I'm telling you, folks, Mitchell James from Porch to Patio Home Inspections is the guy. Use them, love them, get your home inspected. Realtors, he's looking for a partnership right now. Housing market is an all-time high. Make sure when you spend all that money on a house, you're getting your money's worth. Folks,
Mitch will do
use
right
them.
by you guys. We promise.
Mitch will do right by you. Use them, love them. I promise you, folks. And then we also, that night, we watched the debacle of the Alabama-Michigan game that night. I think it was 52-10, something like that. It was
Something
terrible.
like that, yeah.
So, to start the season, just like the past year, conference realignment was the big thing. We had
The more things
4
change, the
teams.
more they stay the same.
We had 4 teams move. This was the first year of Missouri and A&M in the SEC. To this day, Missouri won that deal. They're about to get paid very soon with Texas OU being there. You also had West Virginia replacing one of them, going from. You also had West Virginia and TCU moved from the Big East and Mountain West to the Big 12 to replace Mizzou and A&M.
Yep.
So let's start off with a little predictions for the year. That year, the Heisman frontrunner per multiple sites was Mr. Matt Barkley of USC. The reason why, the year before, folks, the year of the Lane train, back when he was in Southern Cal, they were on probation from Pete Carroll. He threw 17 touchdowns to 2 interceptions over the last 4 games of the year. His stock was at an all-time high. Like, going into his senior year, like, okay, man, this is the golden boy. He sucked that year, but hey, that's neither here nor there. USC did not have a good year like everyone thought they were going to have. They went 7-6. The previous year they went 10-3. So other guys were DeAnthony Thomas, the Black Mamba. God, if you don't remember watching, so the reason why he got so much hype was because the previous Rose Bowl against Wisconsin, Russell Wilson. Sorry, we've been talking about basketball so much. Sorry. You had the Russell Wilson team losing because Anthony Thomas had over 300 all-purpose yards that game. That's phenomenal. So just some random guys that were topics were Matt Barkley, Tyler Wilson from Arkansas. Year before, threw for 3,600 yards. I think it was 30-plus touchdowns as well. Shoelace Robinson.
Yeah.
Was the guy because he was such a dual-threat athlete. Monte Ball, DeAnthony Thomas, Aaron Murray, Mr. Geno Smith, who we talked about earlier, Joseph Randall, A.J. McCarron, Landry Jones, Keith Price, Robert Woods was actually a top guy. And then just 2 more, Tyrann Mathieu, Sammy Watkins, and Marcus Lattimore. Those were your top 15 guys to win the Heisman that year. So start the season off. You want to take a guess at who was picked to be number 1 that year in the preseason polls?
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna go ahead and say USC, just because
USC was number 1. They were high on the Lane train, just like you Oxford people are. So it was USC, Bama, LSU, Oklahoma, Oregon, Georgia, Florida State, South Carolina, Arkansas, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Clemson, Texas, Virginia Tech, Nebraska, Ohio State. Remember, folks, Ohio State was on probation this year because of the tattoo scandal. We'll get into that in a second. Oklahoma State, TCU, TCU, Stanford, Kansas State, Florida, Boise State, Louisville. Okay, a lot of teams in that order, but basically your nostalgic teams were there. Okay, I remember that. So, do you remember who won the Heisman Trophy that year? His team was not on the list of preseason teams, by the way.
That wasn't the
Giving
was
you
that
a
the
hint,
Mariota year?
you're not looking at me.
Oh, Money Manziel.
It was the Money Manziel year, baby. It's the first year. I have A&M in there. Brand new quarterback. That was also the year they beat Bama.
The game
So
that
Money
won Johnny his
Manziel for
Heisman.
that year as a freshman. Well, he was a sophomore. I'm sorry, sophomore. He was technically a redshirt freshman. Same
Redshirt
thing.
freshman.
Yeah, it's all the same. That year, Manziel had completed 68 of his passes for 3,706 yards for a 26-9 touchdown ratio. And to just add a little caveat onto that, 1,410 rushing yards for 21 rushing touchdowns. Killed it.
Yep.
That year, you also had Manti Te'o was your defensive player of the year. Won almost every award that year for. He had a phenomenal year. I think I have it later in the notes. He was actually second. He was second in the country in interceptions as a linebacker. He had 136 tackles. That was also the year of the girlfriend scandal. As everyone knows, he got catfished. Just Capper, if you got Netflix, they will be doing a documentary on it here in the next couple months. Be released. Colin Klein. Name not many people remember. Guy sucked as a quarterback, but was a great running. 66% of his passes, 2,500 yards, 10 yards short. We'll give him the extra round up. 15 touchdowns to a 7 interception ratio. That's a terrible ratio right there. 890 yards, 22 rushing touchdowns. And you had Marquise Lee, 118 catches for 1,700 receiving yards and 14 touchdowns. And then a guy many of us know made a career change later down the road, Mr. Braxton Miller. 58. You're like, this is funny. 58% completion rating. You're like, what is he doing as a Heisman Trophy candidate? 58%. Passed for 2,000 yards. Still not sexy yet. But had a 15-6 touchdown ratio and ran for 1,271 rushing yards for 13 touchdowns. That's the reason why he was your fifth place guy on the Heisman Trophy voting. And then just kind of go over some statistical leaders for that year. You had Mr. Nick Florence. Starkey, I'll give you $1 right now if you can tell me where Nick Florence went to college. You don't know. I know this. He replaced RG3.
Oh, Baylor.
All the records that RG3 set the year before, Nick Florence broke them. Didn't even go to the NFL. You're going to hear a lot of these guys didn't even make it to the NFL on just some of these lists. That year, he was your passing yards leader at a 4,309 for a 33-13 touchdown interception ratio. Landry Jones was up in the running. Pittsburgh Steelers bus. Sorry,
typical
Ladley.
Big 12 defenses.
4,200 passing yards for 30-11 ratio. Geno Smith with 2 St. Louis Rams wide receivers passed for 4,200 passing yards, 42-6 touchdown ratio. God, that's so beautiful. Seth Dodge from Texas Tech was up there, 42.05. He tied 4,200, 39-16. And then we have a Conference USA guy. You won't know this, but I hope you do. Rakeem Cato. He wore gloves. It was number 12 for this team. He passed for 30, right under 4,200 passing yards, 37-11. He played at Marshall. Some other notable guys. They weren't in the top 5, but Some of these guys have had an NFL career, like a Mr. Derek Carr. Derek Carr just slinging it, baby. 37 touchdowns, just like he will this year. 37 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. You had Mike Glennon, the old big neck, Taj Boyd, Aaron Murray, I already said him, Brett Hundley, what was supposed to be the next Aaron Rodgers. Also, did y'all know Brett Hundley set the record that year for most times sacked in a college football season? You want to take a guess?
More than 20?
52 times.
Ooh.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Goodness.
Passed for 3,700 passing yards, 27 to 8 touchdowns. The guy that old Jimbo Fisher said was better than Jameis. Jameis' true freshman year, E.J. Manuel. God, he was terrible. Never should have been drafted in the first round. Never should have been drafted general.
No.
EJ for the year passed for 3,392 yards, 23 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Then you had Blake Bortles. Bo Wallace had a terrible year. Bo Wallace passed for almost 3,000 passing yards with a touchdown interception ratio of 22 to 17. He was tied for the most interceptions that year. A.J. McCarron passed for under 3,000 passing yards with a 30 to 3 touchdown ratio. And then you had Marcus Mariota, true freshman, 2,600 passing yards to a 32 to 6 touchdown ratio. I'm sorry, he was a redshirt freshman. Sorry. And then just going over some quick stuff right here. Then you had Kadeem Carey leading everybody in rushing yards. Stephon Johnson from Nevada, Monte Ball. Jordan Lynch was a quarterback from NIU. He had 1,800 rushing yards for 19 touchdowns. He did a lot more running than he did. He was converted running back in the NFL with the Bears. Then you had Mr. Le'Veon Bell taking over for old Kirk Cousins the next year, being the star of the Michigan State team. He had almost 1,800 rushing yards for 12 touchdowns. And then you had Mr. Kenyon Barner, guy from Oregon, their main number one guy that year. Bishop Sankey, Todd Gurley, true freshman year, 1,400 rushing yards, 17 touchdowns. Eddie Lacy, 1,322, 17 touchdowns. Had to throw this one in there for the culture, Zach Line. Starkey, I will give you all the money in my bank account if you can tell me where Zach Line went to college.
Iowa.
No. It's in the state of Texas. Now you're playing for $5.
I was going to say either TCU or SMU.
3, 2,
SMU.
1. It was SMU, so I owe you $5. And then you had your killer wide receiver class here, Mr. Terrence Williams, future Dallas Cowboy star. Sucked. Now playing in the FCF. 1,800. Listen to this: 1,800 receiving yards, 97 receptions, 12 touchdowns. That's amazing. You would think he would have. Oh yeah, he sucked in the NFL. Marquise Lee was up there. Stedman Bailey, former Ram baby, until he got shot. Sorry, that's terrible to say. 25 receiving touchdowns. Here's the thing, folks. He was 5'9", 5'8".
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. DeAndre Hopkins was wrapping up his college career. Quentin Patton. Do you remember a guy named Jordan Matthews who was like the second or third cousin?
Oh, yeah.
This was his rise.
Yeah, he was an Eagle for a long time.
He was an Eagle. Went to Vandy. 8 touchdowns, 1,323 yards. Devontae Adams. I don't know if you know him. 1,312 receiving yards, 14 touchdowns. Mike Evans, just a casual 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns. Nothing too big. You had Tavon Austin, 1,300 receiving yards, 12 touchdowns. Here's the last 3 guys. Did you know J.D. McKissick was a wide receiver at Arkansas State?
No, I did not know that.
His first
I didn't
year
know he
there,
went to Arkansas State.
you got to learn a little. Got to
No,
support the wife's alma mater. Got to learn a little there, Starkey.
That's why I
And then
knew.
now he's a running back. It's funny. Him and who's the Antonio Gibson both were wide receivers in college, and now they're running backs in the NFL. It's kind of funny, but
Yeah.
Then you had Allen Robinson, just one of your boys now, 11
Mr.
touchdowns.
Ram.
And then Amari Cooper, 11 touchdowns, 1,000 receiving yards. And just kind of go over 2 quick guys real fast. Your boy, Feed Moncrief, this was his last season. 10 touchdowns, 979 yards. This guy was actually, I loved this guy. And I wasn't a State fan. Chad Bumpus.
Oh, wow. That's a name I've heard in a long time.
Oh, my. 12 touchdowns, 922 yards.
He was a boss.
Oh, my dude. He was a. So, actually, now I was doing some research on him. Now he's a coach.
I did not know that.
He's coaching for the Utah Utes. He's a wide receivers coach there.
Oh, good for him.
Stephon Diggs was a true freshman. 6 touchdowns, 848 yards. Did you know he was a 5-star?
Mm-mm.
So, yeah, fun fact, that year in 2012, both Rutgers and Maryland both got 5 stars. Shocking. Crazy times. Former Indianapolis Colts great, Philip Dorsett. So I had to throw a jab there at my in-laws and Eric Busby. 842, 4 touchdowns. And then you had, for the culture, I thought this guy was going to be great with Aaron Rodgers. Jared Abadaris from Wisconsin. Could never stay healthy. Your sack leader was Mr. Jarvis Jones. Couldn't stay healthy. Sucks in the NFL. Tackles leaders, nobody really important. So, I kind of want to get into a couple more things real fast. So, I gave you all, majority of your award winners were Johnny Manziel and Mantateo for everything, okay? Just throwing it out there. I'm not going to run through them all. But I do want to run through the All-American teams just to kind of show you what we got wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. We also had some upsets that year. And this was also, I'll get into in a second, but 3 big upsets that I remember were because this was hard to find, was in week 1, technically week 1, week 2, whatever you want to throw it, Arkansas. This was a terrible, terrible day for me. I walked out of Rendezvous Barbecue with my dad with some business people. Got the notification from Bleacher Report saying Arkansas had just lost to Louisiana Monroe. That was one of the worst losses of my life.
Well, Chobing and Oxford, not the same year, but Chobing and Oxford when Ole Miss lost to Jacksonville State.
Were you number 8 in the country?
No, but they're an FCS school.
Louisiana Monroe may as well be one too. I remember watching that game though. And then you had Kansas State getting demolished by Baylor. And remember, this time Kansas State was number 1 and had to win 3 games. And guess what? They would have gone to the national championship. They lost 52-24. And then the final one that I remember and saw was in the Big Ten championship. Chance to go to the Rose Bowl because Ohio State was out. You had Nebraska versus Wisconsin. You will remember this. Do you remember Kenny Bell? Played for Yes, played for Wisconsin, had a big afro.
Name sounded familiar.
This was the block that got him ejected. When he did a crackback block on Nebraska and ended up getting ejected. Wisconsin ended up winning 70-31 behind Monte Ball.
Cool.
Before I get into All-Americans, I'll kind of run through one more thing. I looked at some recruiting stuff real fast, if you don't mind me running through it real fast.
Yeah, go for it.
The number 1 player going into the 2012-2013 season, from the previous, I'll run through the top 15, was Darrell Green Beckham Jr., what could have been a monster. Mario Edwards couldn't stay healthy. DJ Humphries still is left tackle for the Cardinals right now. Shaq Thompson was actually a safety in high school. They converted him to a linebacker at Washington. Noah Spence sucked. Jonathan Gray couldn't stay healthy. Landon Collins. There we go. There's a good one. Stephon Diggs, number 8 in the class. Malcolm Brown, not the running back, Starkey, but the defensive tackle. They had 2 Malcolm Browns on the same time at Texas. I thought that was funny. Eddie Goldham, Kyle Murphy, Jonathan Ballard, Keith Armstead, and Jonathan Thice. So do you want to take a guess at who the number 1 recruit was at quarterback?
I feel like I should know, but I'm blanking.
You've already said his name tonight. Jameis was number 1.
Jameis.
The first quarterback was not ranked till 16th in these rankings for 24/7 Sports. The next one was Mr. Gunnar Keel. You'll remember him. Originally committed to LSU, decommitted, went to Notre Dame, ended up transferring out after his freshman year there, went to Cincinnati, and ended up, no one knows what happened, just disappeared from the team. Then the old Tupperville didn't get along. And then some other notable quarterbacks in this draft class were Mr. Chad Smelly Kelly.
Hey, that is swag, Kelly, to you, sir.
Negative, sir. And then you had one of my favorite college quarterbacks of all time, Matty Malk.
Wow, that's another I've ever heard of.
Back to back. I'm sorry, not big. I almost said Big 12, but SEC championships. I love it. Matty Malk could have been good. Then he got kicked out and had to go to SEMO. Couldn't even play there. Some other guys in this draft class were T.J. Yeldon, Nelson Aguilar, Andreas Pete, Dante Reggie Ragland, Amari Cooper, Leonard Williams, Todd Gurley, Barry Sanders Jr., and Sterling Shepard. So let's go into the All-Americans right now. So just reading through this, let's go one by one and go over their NFL career, okay? Ready?
Okay.
For the first team, Johnny Manziel. Bust. Monte Ball. Bust. Kadeem Carey. Bust. Marquise Lee. Bust. You can speak up too, Starkey. You can shake your head. Terrence Williams. Major bust.
Yeah.
Zach Ertz. Solid. Luke Jokel. Bust.
Bust.
Taylor Lewan. Hit. Chance Womack. Bust.
Yeah.
Jonathan Cooper. Bust. Barry Jones. Bust.
Because of injuries.
Oh yeah, but now he's making money.
Another one. What could have been?
Now you're okay here at the defensive side. You got a couple more hits than you do bust. Mr. Clowney, hit. Bajan Warner, former Indianapolis Colts great. Fat bust. Star Latadeo, bust.
Hey, yeah.
I thought he was gonna have a great career. I was
high
on him coming out of college. Will Sutton, bust. Manti Te'o, like his girlfriend, NFL career, non-existent. Jarvis Jones, bust. C.J. Mosley, hit.
Yeah.
D. Milner, bust. Jordan Poyer, bust. Philip Thomas, bust. And Matt Elam, bust. And then you got your specialists were Santos, Mr. Sierra Santos. He had a good career. Has a good career. Ryan Allen, who just got the bag the other day, hit. And former St. Louis Rams great Tavon Austin.
Massive bust. One of the biggest disappointments.
Just saying, he could have been the original Tyreek Hill if he would have been on the right team with the right quarterback instead of Jeff Fisher
and Sam Bradford.
Sam was okay. And then you had your Jim Thorpe winner, Jonathan Banks, was on the second team. He was a bust. Yeah, there's a lot of busts in this class. Even, like, looking at the second team right now, you had Klein, Barner, Franklin, Bailey. Eifert was a hit. No, Eifert was a bust. He can never stay healthy in Cincinnati.
Eifert's a bust.
Fluker was a bust. David Yankee. Yeah, looking through this list right here, a lot of these guys are busts. So that just tells you, folks, you don't need to make a first team to have a good NFL career. Starkey, how do you think y'all did? And do you remember how y'all did in 2012, 2013? It really doesn't matter because technically your season doesn't exist. Y'all got vacated.
Year or second?
What'd you say? It was Hugh Freeze's first year.
First year, okay. Because I knew I was watching the. I remember watching that press conference, his introductory press conference to college. I couldn't remember if it was first or second year. I want to say that year it was 8-4, maybe.
Close 7-6.
7-6.
Y'all won the BBV VA Compass Bowl. Woo! And then allegedly somehow y'all got the number 1 recruiting class in the country the next year.
Hey, we were trendsetters. We're doing NIL deals before they were legal.
Wonder how that happened. Oh, let me just buy Laquan Treadwell a mom a new house and Laramie Tunsil a new car. Or he wanted a truck. He got a 2013 F-150.
Yep.
Allegedly. I saw it. I had a class with him. He wouldn't talk about it. When he was suspended, people kept asking him, when are you going to play? He's like, I'm not allowed to talk about it. He's like, but I did get the car. I was like, you're an idiot. You just self-acquitted yourself. And I hate Ole Miss. I'm going to report you. Okay, so before the show, let's go to Mississippi State. So before the show, Mississippi, I asked you who their starting quarterback was this year, Starkey. Do you remember? Or do you know who it is? Remember who it is? It's not Dak. It was before Dak.
It's not Dak.
Dak was it's not Dak.
So they had three quarterbacks on the roster. Jamil.
Oh, you're cheating. No, you can't cheat.
Dak.
You can't cheat.
I can't remember who the person was, who the starter was.
We don't cheat, sir. It was Mr. Tyler Russell.
Oh, yeah. See, I wouldn't even have gotten him.
Mr. Solid. He had one good year. The next year, he got a little banged up and injured and needed to play. That year, he threw for 2,800 passing yards, 24-10 ratio. But like I said earlier, folks, Chad Bumpus had 12 touchdowns. So literally half of his receiving yards were for half his passing touchdowns literally went to one guy. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
So that year, State started the year 7-0. They ended the year 1-5 for a grand total of 8-5 for that year. They lost to Northwestern in the Gator Bowl. That year was a bad year for my Razorbacks. As many know, and I've said on the show, don't ride a motorcycle with a mistress. Bob Vitrino was fired right before the show, and we hired Mr. John L. Smith.
John L. Smith.
Who would go down as one of the worst coaching hires in college football history. We got blown out by Rutgers, and his rant the next day was, we all need to smile, which yelling smile to the whole media. That year, we went 4-8. We were in many people predicting us to be a dark horse to win the SEC West, maybe contend for a national championship. You returned your starting quarterback. You returned a lot of key wide receivers, tight end, offensive line. You lost, granted, your top 2 wide receivers, but you're returning a lot, your veteran quarterback, and you had Niall freaking Davis, who was a stud in college. 6 foot, 230, was a kick return specialist. You went 4-8. Basically, the whole team quit after the loss to Louisiana Monroe. We went 4-8, and then we hired Brett Bielema. Gosh, that was terrible.
So, yeah, because John L. Smith only lasted one season, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I mean, he was the interim coach anyway. We were going to fire him no matter what. So that was a terrible year for Razorbacks. We got close to winning a couple games here and there, but man, it was just pathetic watching. I think the worst one of them all was, let me pull it up real fast. I had to pull it up. Was watching the Mississippi State game. That was terrible. And then Money Manziel killed us. Yeah, that was just a terrible game. And then we got demolished by Bama because our starting quarterback, Tyler Wilson, was out on concussion protocol. So we had to throw my dad's favorite quarterback in, Brandon Allen, and he didn't know crap. It was terrible. So yeah, it was a bad year. And then you had LSU. A lot of people figure this is gonna be the year LSU was going to take that step to beat Bama, run it back. Let's go. Let's win a natty. Bama had Zach Mettenberg.
You mean
This is
LSU?
junior year Zach. So not quite there. Zach had 2,600 passing yards for 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Odell had 2 touchdowns, 713 yards, and Jarvis had 5 touchdowns, 573 yards. And then Purdue that year was not good. They were not good that year. However, they were the only team to almost beat Ohio State. They lost to Ohio State by 7. Ohio State that year, folks, like I said earlier, they were on a bowl ban due to certain players such as Terrell Pryor and others accepting tattoos for
Autographs.
Tattoos for autographs. They were signing stuff and getting free tattoos, which is a major no-no. So, terrible year. This was also a really weird year as well. Pull it up real. Let me go back to my page. Sorry. So, the conference championships were, as normal, shocker. Bama was in it. Do you remember what happened in this SEC championship this year? This was the year Bama should have lost. Aaron Murray led Georgia down the field. 8 seconds left. He throws a slant. He throws an out route to Jarvis King. 8 seconds left. Fourth quarter. There was no way in God's green earth he was getting out of bounds. He caught the ball. Georgia ran the line. Clock expired by the time he could snap the ball off. But I remember everybody the next day was like, all he had to do was swat the ball down, get a shot in the end zone, do another play. No, we're just going to catch the ball. I love it. You catch it, dude, but terrible. You had Florida State win the ACC. Wisconsin, like I said earlier, blew them out. Tulsa won USA. Northern Illinois, we had a 19 versus 18 matchup in the MAC. Other ones were Kansas State ended up winning the Big Ten. Louisville won the Big East. Boise State won the Mountain West. And Arkansas State won the Sun Belt. Just quick little bowl. So let's go over just the big games real fast. You had Stanford playing Wisconsin. Stanford barely won that. Then you had Northern Illinois playing the FSU Seminoles. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, they're going to Boise State it here. No, they did not. They got destroyed by Florida State. Probably the best hit of my life was in this bowl game right here, Starkey. Louisville versus Florida. You had Teddy Bridgewater get you remember that hit? Teddy Bridgewater got decapitated.
I'll have to go back and look. It's been a long time.
I forgot who it was, but dude, he got destroyed. And then you had Notre Dame playing Bama in the national title. A lot of people were high on Bama, even though Bama was a 10-point favorite in that game. A lot of people were high on Bama that year, or not Bama. They were high on Notre Dame because like this Notre Dame defense is so good.
Yeah,
41-10. Or sorry, 41-14. I'm sorry. It was terrible. It was really, really boring. I don't know why I set to watch it. So, just a caveat on the magic of it. The final rankings were Bama, Oregon, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Georgia A&M, Stanford, South Carolina, Florida, Florida State, Clemson, Kansas State, Louisville, LSU, Oklahoma. So this is where it's going to blow your mind here with these teams are in off. Utah State, okay, they're sometimes competitive. Northwestern, Boise State, not common there. Texas, Oregon State finished the year in the top 20. San Jose State, Northern Illinois. Probably the most shocking of this all is Vandy finished in the top 25.
Last time that ever happened.
And do you remember who their starting quarterback was, sir?
I
It
don't.
was on The Bachelor.
Jordan Rogers.
Jordan Rogers was his starting quarterback.
Yeah,
Do you
I
remember who
forgot
the
about
head
that.
coach was? You're not going to know who it was. James Franklin.
Oh, okay.
And then
Yeah.
you had Michigan and Nebraska to round it. I'm sorry. I didn't mention. Do you remember what happened in the Michigan-South Carolina Outback Bowl?
Oh, that is still the greatest hit I've ever seen in my life.
Yes. I
Jadeveon
was sleeping
Clowney
with
should have
Mitch
gone to
watching
prison for
this.
murder.
Jadeveon Clowney destroyed. No one. I don't know why. Remember, Jadeveon at this time was like the guy. Like everyone's like, dude, you're the GOAT. He was the number one recruit out of high school. Everyone was like, dude, you're. He was the man amongst boys in college, even in college. For some reason, Michigan, of all people, Big Ten country, big lineman, they decided not to block. And poor Vincent Smith never had a career after this. I mean, he still played, but
He was never the
got
same.
his head destroyed.
Yeah.
And then you see Jadeveon Clowney pick up the ball with one hand and try to run with it.
Yeah, it wasn't just a hit in the backfield.
Loved it.
It was a fumble, and he recovered it, like you said, with one hand. It's still the greatest hit I've ever seen.
So while I was watching this, I went through real fast and watched some highlight videos. Folks, if you haven't, go watch DeAnthony Thomas and Tavon Austin highlight reels. Oh my, you're just gonna blow your mind at how good they were.
Yeah.
So Starkey, to end the show, I know we went a little longer than normal, or actually, we're spot on through what we normally do. I challenge you for the stuff this week. Hot topic is let's do some Madden let's do overhyped, overpowered elite athletes in video games. I'm gonna do just 3 real fast, okay?
Okay.
Michael Vick Madden 2004. I remember playing this on my PS2.
Mm-hmm.
That year, I was able to find the statistics for that. Was Michael Vick had a 95 speed, 92 elusiveness, and a 98 throw power.
Yeah.
I remember I would sprint all the way left, run back to the goal line, just make a giant loop, and I'd run for like basically almost a 200-yard touchdown, but only be like 50 yards. Dude, there was no beating. If you had to make him back in the day, you can't pick the Falcons.
No.
It was like picking the 2017 Warriors. You can't pick the Warriors. It's like 2K. There are certain teams off limits, and the Falcons back in the day were off limits for that reason.
Yes.
The next guy was 2016 Steph Curry.
Okay.
Just because I remember playing him I used to play a crap ton of 2K online back in the day in college. People would always pick him. Dude, Steph, you literally go right across half court, swish every time with Steph. Even if you were double teaming. Oh, I mean, granted, in 2K it's not as hard, but dude, then, holy cow, he was not missing anything. And then, little throwback here, Reggie Bush, NCAA Football 2005.
I like
it. You could not beat him. HB counter, HB screen, HB angle, anything you get punt return, kick returner. Oh my gosh, so fast. His juke ability, I think, was like a 99.
Yeah,
unstoppable.
Yeah.
Okay, so who are your top 3?
So my top 3, kind of basic, but I mean, they're cliches for a reason. Number 3, Bo Jackson, take my ball.
I think that has like the number 1 overpowered.
The man was untouchable playing Tecmo Bowl. He was just, unreal. Number 2, which I'm kind of shocked I have him at 2, because he's my all-time favorite video game player or video game athlete, the GOAT, Mr. Pablo Sanchez.
Backyard baseball. Do you have his stats?
No. But
I wrote them down because I was going to say them, but I decided not to. Starkey, to piggyback off what you said, it was best of 4 in 4 categories. He got a 4 in batting. He got a 4 in running, and a 4 in fielding, and a 3 in pitching. It's all you from there. He was OG, baby.
He was the absolute GOAT, for sure. And then number one, like you said, Mike Vick and Madden 04. Just the man was a cheat code. So
You know, I have a Mike Vick jersey.
it didn't shock me.
My mom was against me. I got something for my birthday or something, like from Kohl's, I think, and or Dillard's, and I couldn't I didn't want it. It was too small or too big. I was going to exchange it, so I was like, I want a jersey. So Mike Vick this was 2005. Mike Vick was at an all-time high. I said, I want a Mike. Mom was against me getting a Mike Vick jersey. Got it. I was so cool walking into little school SBC with that jacket, little jersey on. Yeah, then the next year I couldn't wear it out in public anymore. That was the dog scandal.
Yep.
So I think that's going to do it for tonight's show. I know I kind of seemed like I rambled a little on the college football season, but folks, the 2012-13 season was just a magical season, especially with Johnny Manziel. You had him doing his Heisman moment, was him losing the snap against Bama. He had the ball in his hand, lost it, and then throws to a wide open Ryan Swope, who could have had an NFL career if he had too many concussions.
I remember watching that game with my mom and dad and sister in the living, and we went berserk when he threw that touchdown pass.
He made Kevin Sumlin look like a god.
Yeah, he made Kevin Sumlin look like a competent coach for sure.
And now Kevin Sumlin isn't even coaching anymore. He coached a terrible USFL team.
Yep.
He went from coaching Heisman Trophy winner to had Kyler Murray. Yeah, dude. Kyle Allen. I'm not even going to rant of all the guys. He had Kenny Thrill. Yeah. Kevin Sumlin's terrible coach. So just kind of a throwback there, guys. I know it came like we ranted a little. It's just nostalgic hearing some of these guys' names, folks. Go look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, for sure.
Folks,
like we said, simple times.
Gosh, simple times. We're almost there, folks. We're less than 30 days away from start of football. We're getting hype. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about basketball, how to get back to it, and get you more ready for college football and NFL. Because preseason starts. Hard Knocks is next week as well.
The Hall of Fame game is Thursday night.
Who's in the Hall of Fame game?
The Jaguars and give me 2 seconds.
I haven't even prepared for it, so I don't even know.
The Raiders and Jags.
Okay. I'm a diehard Raiders fan now, so let's go. I haven't decided on my team yet. I'm going to postpone that to next week, folks.
Sounds good.
Well, folks, as always, I'm Jared.
I'm Starkey.
See you later, and don't forget to follow us at MBL on Twitter.
Yeah, have a good one.